Is cheer a sport? According to Geisinger, a very well-accredited health website, over 30,000 injuries occur yearly from this heavily debated upon sport. The argument over whether cheer is a sport or not has been around since well before the 80s, so several decades. The physical and mental stress and effort that cheerleaders go through prove that it is just as much a sport as anything else. Keeping up with school, social life, mental health, and your just physical well-being. I was a cheerleader for 8 years, and this year I went through a very serious injury. I tore ligaments in my ankle and I was on crutches for 3 months and in a boot for 2 months after the crutches. That put me through lots of mental and physical stress, learning to live again basically, and having to deal with the fact that I couldn't compete in my cheer season and my other sport seasons. The UIO has deemed competitive high school cheer as a sport. So therefore, it is officially a sport, whether you believe it or not. UIO is University Interscholastic League, and they were created by TU, horns down, and they cover academics and athletics for high schools all over the state of Texas. The injuries in cheer are just as bad as any other ones as soccer and football. I've played soccer for 14 years, never went through an injury as bad as I did with cheer. The concussions and the ACL tears that come along with being a cheerleader, or the risk of them, are much higher than other sports. And with the injuries comes the mental and emotional well-being that just tears your body down. According to Netflix too, cheer is also a sport. If you've seen the documentary on the Navarro cheerleaders in Corsicana, you would definitely be able to know that cheer is a sport, and a very strenuous one at that, very dangerous one. Most competitive teams go through 8 to 10 hours of practice just in 1 week, and a required tumbling class. Lots of effort go into those practices, lots of energy go into those practices, and so for that reason I believe it is a sport. So from my own personal belief, from the UIL and Netflix, cheer is a sport, whether you believe it or not. However, high school cheer, I would say old cheer, and Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders or teams such as that, I do not believe are cheering as a sport. Sideline cheer is not a sport. You just learn cheers and dances and perform them. Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders, I believe they are athletes, but I do not believe they are grouped in with cheering in sports. They definitely go through a lot, but not what competitive cheerleading goes through. Older cheer, they were very much more like juvenile type cheer. They just stacked on each other. And the injuries in cheer, like I said earlier, are very serious. It is, we risk our life just to perform for 2 minutes and 30 seconds. We put girls in the air on top of us. We flip countless times in just one routine. We risk our bodies, our lives, our everything, just to perform and compete with each other, and that is what I consider our sport. Thanks and giggle.